Welcome, golf fans, pursuers of knowledge and the almighty dollar. This is your golf guru bringing you the 2021 API preview, also known as the Arnold Palmer Invitational. That's right, we are heading to Arnie's course in Orlando, Florida. Just a quick jaunt from Bradenton, where we were just located. So we are still on the Florida swing. If this is your first time stopping by, I greatly appreciate you for doing that. Give me 20 to 25 minutes. I'm going to break down the course, the field, what is it going to take to win here. We're also going to do a quick recap of the WGC Workday. Talk a little bit about that. Always good to look back to see what people did well, and that could help us to understand what we need to look for going forward. Okay, without further ado, let's go take a quick recap look. Okay, so the WGC Workday Golf Championship. So again, this was going to be, as we always mention, a test. Actually, funny enough, I was pretty spot on when it came to, what the scoring was going to be at the course, how the course would play. The problem was some of the picks that I had within my pool didn't do bad. I was probably 50 for 50. Actually, my sleeper picks were probably my best. But, we can kind of go through some of the guys. It's a little different format than usually what I look at because the information I usually get wasn't working this weekend for whatever reason. So I'm going to leverage this. It's the same thing, just kind of talk about the stroke gain analysis for some of these guys and who did well, who didn't, and who do we got to look for in this upcoming API tournament. Okay. So first off, Colin Morikawa. Let's talk a little about Colin. Great win for him. Didn't see this coming. I liked, of course, funny enough, I think I was picking him for the Genesis, or at least to be a contender in the Genesis. And then, of course, he changed his putting grip and lost, I don't even know how many strokes putting, but, we know from an approach side that Colin is always elite. And again, he led the field on approach. But with that new putting stroke, I was watching that guy miss 3 5-footers, and he just was terrible with it. So I didn't know if he was going to implement it again this weekend. Upcoming for the WGC, but it made me very nervous to put him in my roster pool because of what I saw just the weekend before. So amazing enough, within 7 days, the guy learned how to putt very well. And I know one was from a POA green to Bermuda, but if you look at Morikawa splits, he doesn't, gain on any surface. So nothing was pointing me in the direction that Colin Morikawa was going to go out and gain 4 strokes putting. That's very rare for him straight up. Also, we don't really have a background that he's done well in the Florida swing. Of course, relatively new with a year under his belt. But there was nothing that was pointing at Colin except we know he can be pretty solid off the tee. We know he's a lead on approach. But the putter is what, I was looking more approach around the green and putting, more putting and working my way back. And he just did not fit that bill, especially with a new putting stroke. But amazing enough, as I said, the guy went out and he put it amazingly. And I was even on Sunday, was fading him, to a degree on Showdown. I just thought he would fall back to the pack. I thought at some point the putter was going to leave him, and it just didn't. So amazing win for him. Victor Hovland, again, I was on him for the Genesis. I don't think he was in my player pool, the 15 that I mentioned, and then in my sleepers. But I did have some Victor Hovland. His game, it's going to work at any course. It's always, this around the green and putting. So around the green hurt him. Of course, he, shot that quad on 18. I believe that was on Saturday. And that was all just chipping all over the place. And then on that note, while I'm thinking of it, of course, Matthew Wolff, which, I still haven't seen an answer on why he withdrew. We know why he withdrew. He withdrew just out of pure frustration. Again, as I've mentioned 1,000 times, of course, he was on my fades. I feel so bad for Matthew because I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it is really a wrist injury or something that's just happened mentally. But his game, is just it's in a disarray. And again, though, you get him on a course almost similar to Bryson DeChambeau. That is an older course that runs the holes back, forth, back, forth, back, forth, and they don't have to worry about if they have some missed drives. He can be very live. And if you think about what he did at the U.S. Open at Winged Foot, or if you look at when he came in second at the Rocket Mortgage, those are all courses that you can, you don't have to worry about where your ball is going off the tee that much. Distance, is kind of, it helps all of those courses. So anyways, enough about Matthew. Be interested to see when he plays next and, and see if we hear anything on what comes out of them. Because, as we were talking about Morikawa, Hovland, how can you not talk about Wolff? At one time people were thinking, oh, it's going to be Wolff's the best player. And then Colin wins the PGA. Oh, he's the best player. And then Victor wins. Well, so it's good to see. It's a great three-headed, I guess players that all came out at the same time and are all awesome. Brooks, not much to say there. He was in my player pool. Does well on Bermuda. He even stated, you see, gained 6 throws putting that he loves when he's back on Bermuda. So just note to self. Billy Horschel is one of my sleepers. And again, he followed into, a great putter on Bermuda, good on, the other areas, can get some distance, good on approach. So yeah, it was a nice call. Scheffler, still what Scheffler's doing now. I don't think I had him as, and again, I don't have my picks in front of me, but maybe I did have him in my top 15 pool, but he's just been playing great. And you can see here green across the board. So Louis Oosthuizen, which I call the fuzzy immigrant, great. Just always, in a tough field, under tough conditions, tough course, just play Louis. I didn't pick him, but the guy is always solid. It's good to see Rory, especially we talk about. He's definitely probably gonna be one of my picks for this API. He loves it here. You'll see when we dive into it, his background or past history here it's ridiculous. Webb Simpson here. This is someone I want to talk about because actually Webb was one of my fades, and I know better to typically fade Webb on a Bermuda course, but with the 7,400 plus yards and seeing what Webb's been doing lately, and we can click on it. Let's just take a quick look at Webb's past few tournaments. So of course, just wanted to make sure that's right. He didn't play the California Swing. So last time we saw him was at the Waste Management, and that course, I thought would set up pretty well for him. And he lost, watching him off the tee all over the place, not hitting approach. The putter was doing nothing. It was just making me nervous. Also, even at the RSM, nothing great. It was not the typical Webb. Now, Webb can go out and have a good day. He is a top elite player in my mind. He's in the top 10. When he plays from a DraftKings perspective or a points perspective, that guy can score some points. But just everything I saw with Webb's game going into this, he was just losing in areas I never saw Webb. And so, I faded him, came back to bite me a little bit. You can see it wasn't really, he didn't gain a whole lot on the field with putting at all. Not even barely was neutral, pretty much just over a hair neutral. But the approach was a lot better than what I've seen. So that was good. And, he kept it in play, off the tee. He wasn't hitting the water where he was having some struggles off the tee. Also note, if you watched my sleeper fade show, I came out and was talking about Justin Thomas, and he was in my player pool, and then more kind of came out, of course, and then you had the Tiger thing that happened, and I was like, you know what? I was on the fence about rostering JT, and then when the Tiger thing came out, I actually, as I said, I shifted a lot of shares. I still maybe had a team or two with him. But I really kind of pumped up my Patrick Reed shares, and he did all right. Like to see him a little bit off the tee. You could see he kind of struggled a little bit, but great on approach. He did the 3 things that I was looking for. Gained almost 4 strokes putting. Just didn't have that great of a Sunday. Kevin Na was in my sleeper pool. In typical, I was looking for guys that didn't have to hit it far. Just keep it in play off the tee. Get your opportunities and just cash in when it comes to putting. But he had a great around the green. Approach wasn't as good as typically Kevin can be pretty deadly on approach, as we saw at the Shriners, I believe it was, or the Sony. I think at both. The Shriners played well too in Vegas, but he won the Sony. Cam Smith was not my player pool this week. Even I thought about it, but he had one rough. I think it was Saturday. He was up there for a while, but yeah, was gaining again crazy on the greens. But this was what hurt him. I think he put 5 balls in the water, I believe, on Saturday. Fitzpatrick, who is in, so Cam's not in the Arnold Palmer, but Matthew Fitzpatrick is, and I think he's going to be very live for this tournament. Guy's playing, great, and of course, elite putter, and we're going to need that here. Tony, still, trucking along. Matsuyama, actually, like I said, I was fading him, and he actually came to life a little bit. Putter didn't kill him as much. Around the green's always solid with, he's a good around the green guy. His approach is a little back on track. Still not the greatest off the tee right now, but it was a good turn on him. JT made quite a comeback. It looked like JT first day was going to be almost in a Matthew Wolf boat. It was a struggle, but again, off the tee, he's hitting them wide rights. So hopefully, he gets that figured out. It was good to see Carlos Ortiz had a great Sunday. I say that just because I'm high on Carlos Ortiz right now. Got a nice bet on for the Masters. Just it's a long shot, but just his form's been amazing. Brendan Todd was one of my sleepers. He came through again, a guy that just hits fairways, greens, and can make the putts. His approach wasn't as solid. Abraham Answer was one of my sleepers. It was good to see him. Of course, a little struggle off the tee. The putters were Abraham always. He was, I think, my one pick that I knew that, if he had a hot day putting, he could have done something. If you see everything else he did, just didn't have that. DeChambeau was in my picks, and again the 5-over-1 on Thursday, shoots 8 under on Friday, and I thought, hey, here we go. He's finally going to turn on, and then didn't happen. Lonto and Max, I believe I had both those, and then Terrell Hatton, I know that was my main. I mean, that was my guy. I just really like Terrell. Of course, I'm going to like him more even here probably this week upcoming. We look at what happened just around the greens, and all those guys. Those were some crazy greens. Just you could see you get on the wrong side and you could easily make a double or a quad. I didn't track on how many guys, had the triple bogeys, double bogeys, quads, but that's something I've not seen. I think Sun J.M. is going to be very live here. He was in my player pool, I think, for a top 20. Joaquin Neiman was in my top 5. The putter, again, kind of everything else solid. I don't know if Joaquin, I didn't check if he's playing here. But just the putter, which that's typical of Joaquin. Bezaden Hoot was also, I think he was in my top 20. Thought he would do well here. He likes Bermuda. We don't get to see him a lot, but I thought his game, usually pretty solid off the tee and approach, but, it's not long by any stretch of the imagination. Rahm's still struggling with the putter, so I'm going to, keep fading him until I see something come back with that. Garcia kind of came out pretty hot, and then, of course, Garcia losing over 6 strokes. Daniel Berger off the recent win. I didn't have him as a pick, but just for that reason, but struggled around the greens. I'm just kind of EVR is good to side note. I didn't have him as a pick, but it's the first time EVR I think has even made a cut in a while. But to have a top 37th finish, that's pretty good for him. Shoffley was in my top 5, and he just was blah. Just didn't do anything great, and of course the putter kind of let him down. I think Leishman could be very live here. Of course, he's won here in the past. He had a runner-up finish last year here against Hatton. Someone that we have to look at. Kisner, at one time I think he was up there. He had a great, I believe it was Friday, and then just had a terrible Saturday. Woodland's still struggling. Tommy was a fate of mine, so that came to fruition. Just really funny enough, this is crazy. I watched a little bit of Tommy, and he was hitting the ball great and having great opportunities and just couldn't make a putt. Little shocking. See anybody else that I want to point out? Ryan Palmer was one of my, I believe, top 20, but you can see here just nightmare across the board. Lost 6 strokes putting, which Ryan typically does well on Bermuda, so that was rough. Justin Rose, I thought we'd see something good come out of that second place finish out of Europe. I didn't get to see any of Justin Rose, so I have no idea. I mean, what it's telling me here is the ball striking is still a disaster. And the putter didn't help him a whole lot. So DJ, so this is interesting. So I, of course, had DJ. I thought, he's going to make a comeback. It's, so rare that he'll have a bad tournament lately. He had that bad Sunday shot, a couple over. So I was expecting DJ to come out and do something. And then you hear, he's putting in a brand new Sim 2 driver. So he did that on Thursday. Hit the ball over the lot. I don't know how many fairways he hit, but it wasn't many. And then on Friday, he made the change. So then I think I jumped on him on Showdown for Saturday. And he went from, I think he shot a 39 on the front nine and almost like a 29-30 on the back. Had 2 eagles. So, I'm thinking, okay, Sunday, he's going to turn out again. And this is, lost literally 10 strokes. And he was trying, at least what I saw him on Saturday, he was putting the effort in. So I don't know what happened on Sunday. Again, I didn't get to watch a lot of him on Sunday. But that's ridiculous, losing 10 strokes. I don't know if he just mentally checked out. I think he needs, probably some time off. We'll see. I know he's not playing this week. The tournament field, the player field here, we'll get into it, but at the API, it's not going to be what we just saw. There's still some, decent names. It's going to be a solid field, but, these guys had to figure out when to take a break. with the players coming up and just having a WGC and this stuck in the middle, the player field is going to be a little less light than usual. And let's see, Harris English. I don't know what to do with this. He had a decent comeback, I believe, on Friday, but he's a mess right now. And this course should have, when Harris plays his game, just that soft, butter fade, good irons. The guy's a solid putter on Bermuda, but the guy just stunk it up all over. So I will be officially fading Harris for a while here. Maybe we saw his best. Maybe he won that Tournament of Champions in the beginning of the new year, and it's just been downhill since. And that's it. I think that's enough. I think we got to talk a little bit about where people are at. Will Z, has been playing well. I think he's in the API. Could be a pretty good tournament for him. But yeah, anyways, let's jump back. Okay, so let's talk about the Arnold Palmer Invitational. Of course, as I mentioned already, they are heading to Orlando, Florida. We have tons of historical data here, so no excuses, at least from a model perspective. We'll get the ability to dive into a ton of data. I believe this tournament's been held here since 1979. I believe Arnie bought the course around in 1975. I think even before, Disney was the big thing. He turned pretty much Florida into a golf mecca. So we can thank Arnie for that, and of course, multiple other things. It's a par 72, playing around 7,454 yards. So funny enough, I was leveraging this course very heavily for the previous WGC at Concession. So we can look at some of that. I mean, the greens I think are very different, but how the course plays to some degree, where you can get in some trouble, there is some definitely similarities. Of course, Bermuda fairways and rough, again, Bermuda greens. Right now, the player field that I see is around 133. There is a cut this week, so again, we're at T65 or better. The cut line here is, it does play a little tougher than what I was expecting. It's +2 to +4 if you look over the last 4 years. The winning score last year was 4 under, which that was due to wind. I've seen, I think, even back to like 2018, 2017, they've gone 18 under. On average, I'd say the winning score here is somewhere between 12 under to 15 under is probably a good gauge. The last 4 winners, just kind of a quinky-dink, have all been international. So you had Hatton, Molinari, Rory McIlroy, and then Leishman. I say Rory, and some people, because Sabatini is in this field, will get that confused with Sabatini. Typically, if you say Rory, everybody thinks Rory McIlroy, but just clarify that. The course defense, lots of water. Typical Florida course. On 9 holes, water does come into play. That it could be a line to fairways, line to greens. Of course, you got the amazing 18th hole with like the, kidney bean shape. It's a great finishing hole, the toughest hole on the course. A lot of sand. You got 84 sand traps, and that is a KPI or, a key indicator of how people are going to do well is on sand saves. And you got really tall rough. So from my understanding and my memory, this is a pretty close from a rough perspective as you're going to see for a U.S. Open. One of the toughest courses to, get to the green or get proximity to the hole from the rough. And then you have generous fairways like we had just previously, but larger greens, but they are flat. They are, when I say flat, is there some slopes or tiers? Yes, but nothing like the undulation we just saw. But the difference is they're typically very firm and they are lightning quick. So, I think if they had that kind of undulation, they couldn't keep the greens as fast as they are. So that is a defense of this course, is the lightning fast greens, even though they're pretty relatively flat and not elevated and not a lot of slope or undulation. Take a quick look at the scorecard. I'll just call it a few holes. Of course, I mentioned 18, the number 1 handicap hole. That is the finishing hole. You got this, they say like the toughest, well, I think they say toughest 3 holes coming in, but it's really, not this one, right? Not the par 5, but you got number 15, 17, 18. And then funny enough, you start off pretty tough too. So from a perspective, if you're looking at showdown or how to, tee times and all that, either you're going to take it in the very beginning, the possible bogeys, or you're going to take it at the end. So I don't see really an advantage of how you would roster or set up a showdown team or anything like that. But just for some notes, a lot of long par 3, so we will be looking at that when we look at the model. I think they're almost all 200 plus, except there's one right here, so 195, and it's all depending where they put the tees. So I'm going off that there's 4 par 3s that are 200 plus. So we're going to be looking at guys with long irons, good approach game. And again, just getting the fairway is going to be the key. And we'll get into that more. So past conditions, this is something to bring up because, when I talked about that 4 under last year, it was windy from the word go at this tournament. And then on Sunday, it got really windy. Now it's kind of funny. It says moderate here. I don't understand this where they consider moderate to windy AF, windy as fuck. But definitely round 4 was crazy. And so if the wind blows here, which I haven't looked at any weather yet, there was a little bit of wind that we saw, especially on Sunday at the WGC. But other than that, the weather was, if you look at the past notes of this course or the weather conditions, it was warm, sunny, but it was just windy. And so when you start to look at, firm greens and lightning quick, it's going to be tough when the wind blows. Because, of course, hitting the fairway you want and hitting your approaches is a whole different ballgame. But typically, this course will play easier than it did last year. But the green firmness is, I kind of looked and tracked a ways back, stays firm, the rough stays long, and the greens stay lightning fast. So those conditions aren't going to change. It's just, if it stays calm, the guys can shoot 15, 16, 17 under. If it gets windy, it could be, more like a major kind of scoring event. Okay, past winners. I already mentioned, these guys, but I always do this, and I think it's good to kind of a confirmation or just start the brain thinking of, okay, who are we looking for from a player set? Across, if you think of Terrell Hatton, I think right off the bat, an elite approach player. And you can see that, how he got it done here was, on approach and, pretty decent on putting, but everything was green across the board, which you're not going to see too many guys win a tournament and they have one of the stroke gain categories in red. Molinari, when I think of him, even though he didn't do it, he did it more with putting, but the guy is one of the better approach players when he's on. Again, a good approach player. Funny enough, he was gaining 5 strokes off the tee. That kind of shocks me a little bit because typically I always think distance, but he must have just been very accurate hitting fairways over and over and over. Was even around the green. And then this is what I was talking about with Rory, the guy, almost a top 5 every time he plays here. He's played here more than 4 times, but the other ones below were, still pretty solid. I don't think he's ever missed a cut here when he's played. And he's also done it well at the Players, right? So we know that in 2019 he won there. So, nothing would shock me if Rory doesn't come out again and put a top 5 together. And, of course, if you look at when he won, again, gained on approach pretty significantly. Not that much off the tee, but putting. So the key 2 things that I'm going to be looking at off the bat is, again, working my way back from putting, approach, and then driver is where I'll weight my models. The comp course I'm looking at, they're a little bit different. Of course, again, as I mentioned, we can definitely take a look back at what just happened, even though it's not going to be the same exact field and it's a little different format. But the courses are very, very similar. Florida courses, both Bermuda, both pretty same in yardages. Just the green complexes are different. But the 3 that I think are going to fit pretty well is Sedgefield, TPC Southwind, and PGA National. Again, you got, of course, where they play the Honda, which is coming up. That's a Florida course, very kind of similar. All Bermuda greens. The only difference is all these courses are a little shorter. It's kind of funny. I was looking to see if Webb Simpson would be in the field this week, and he's not. And I looked back, and I didn't go all the way back, but I went back, and I don't know if he's ever played in the Arnold Palmer. If he has, it's been a while. But it seems like it would be a great fit for him. So it's kind of shocking that he's not going to be here. And I don't have the reasoning why. Something that I'll have to dig in and find out. But anyways, when you start to look at the comp courses, start to think that, again, we just saw what Webb did. He'd be, you would think, a shoe-in to, top 5, not win the thing. But yeah, I think we can leverage a bit of what we just saw, and I'll be looking at these courses and tournaments also. And then mention how to win. So we want to break down from a skill set. Again, I already mentioned, we're looking for Bermuda putting specialists, guys that can avoid the 3-putt. These are larger than typical green sizes, and they're fast. I would think, and I didn't look, but I would guess this course has to be ranked up there in how many 3-putts take place. Approach, greens and reg, and then the proximities that are showing up. A lot of shots coming in from 150 to 175 and 200 plus. Again, good drives. I'm not really worried about driving distance. I'm looking at guys that are just hitting fairways. Sand saves and scramblings are 2 key factors that we need to look at this one. And a good, again, looking for guys good with the long irons, par 5 scoring. They're going to have to make their hay on the par 5s. There's, definitely some gettable par 5s here. And I mentioned the par 3s. There's 4 of them around 200 or 200 plus. And then we'll look at birdie or better. I don't know if that's a stat I'll put in or not, because I don't think this is going to be a run and gun kind of thing. I don't think it's going to be a putting contest. I think you're going to have to be solid in all aspects of the game. And then, as I mentioned, we can take a quick look at the field. I did put a quick, as I always do, a quick model together. And again, just wanted to see what would come out. And a couple things I don't have in here is the proximity. So that will be added. I don't have birdie or better. Like I said, I'm in between if I'm going to add that or not. But what is in here is first putting. I weighted that pretty heavily at 15%. Approach at 15%. Ball striking at 10. Again, that's taking the tee to green game. Guys that are hitting good drives. Sand save, scrambling. Put the par 3s in here, the par 5s that we need to watch out for. Green and reg a little bit lower. Like I said, approach and all that should take care of that. And then 3-putt avoidance. I did not put any filters on, so this is just looking at all courses over their past 12 rounds of golf. So very recent of what's going on. It's something I always try to keep an eye on. I think recent form is, huge. I think course history, there is definitely something there, but I think recent form outweighs that. And the first guy that pops up under that is Victor Hovland. Of course, you got Max, who's been doing well. Neesmith, which that's interesting. Something always about the model loves Neesmith. So I'm going to have to dive a little more in that because, he's kind of funny. I always miss him where I think he's going to do great. He struggles. And then when I don't think he's going to do so well, he does well. So got to make sure we get the Neesmith thing right. Tringale's been playing well. Of course, Jordan, Paul Casey, who's, took off last week. Seems like a great fit for this course. He had the win here recently. I believe that was the Abu Dhabi or the Omega. I get him confused, but it was a European win. Lanto's been doing well. Molinari shows up. And that's also something I look at. So you got some of the past winners that should pop up pretty high on this model or something's wrong. So you got Molinari, Hatton, Leishman. I don't see McIlroy on here. Funny enough, I don't see McIlroy. But if you think about it, Rory over the past 12 rounds has not been doing some of these things very well. And the two things he's not been doing well, except for recently, is putting and approach. Or good drives. His game's been a little wayward. So, just trying to think. Horschel again. I think he's live. We just saw what he could do at a very somewhat similar course and on Bermuda Green. So, then you got Burns who popped up here again. Bermuda Burns. I mean, I'd be shocked if he is not up there for my top player pool. That guy is due for a win. He has been sniffing it, and be someone that we'll have to look at. So that's really it. That's about all I have for the preview. And I hope that just gets you excited for the API, get your mind, start thinking, get the wheels going. Again, if you are new to attending my show, first, thank you again for stopping by. If you like what I do, hit the like button. If you know somebody else that might like it, share it with them. If you've not subscribed, I would appreciate it greatly to subscribe. It means the world to me. It's why I keep doing this, is to build that subscribe base, help you guys out. And if you have any questions I can help you with from a betting, GPP lineup, one and done, whatever it is, feel free to ping me at the Twitter sphere at DFS Golf Guru. I will get back to you, or comment me on YouTube. I check them both. And that's it. So I will get off to start digging into the details and find who we're going to be trying to roster this week. And look forward, and good luck to us. You guys take care. All the best.